Hello and welcome to WP. This week, the interests of Australians in WA and around the country are on the federal government's agenda as it delivers its budget in the countdown to the May election. The budget has placed the needs of Australians at heart, while Liberal Party election campaigning continues to promote Scott Morrison as a leader that will work with WA, the Prime Minister currently neck and neck with Labor leader Anthony Albanese in the polls. We spoke to Federal Attorney General Michaelia Cash about what a Scott Morrison re-election would mean for the state and the country.
Attorney General, thanks for your time. Cost of living relief is a major focus of this year's budget. How much money will an average Australian be better off before the election?
In the first instance, you are absolutely right. Cost of living is really important to Australians. So when you look at the budget that we brought down on Tuesday night, it provides cost of living relief now for Australians. But at the same time, what it does is say to Australians, we have a long-term economic plan that is going to create more jobs. We are also putting record investment into the essential services that are just so important to Australians. And as you and I have discussed on many occasions, stronger defence and national security. But in terms of that cost of living relief that we can provide up front, I mean, we listened to Australians. You know, they told us that the price of petrol was hurting them. And so for the next 6 months, the announcement is that Australians will save 22 cents a litre every time they fill up their car. So just say, I mean, Western Australia is a big state. Western Australians, we know what it's like to have to drive long distances. So a family, say with 2 cars, who fill up once a week, they'll save around $30 a week or around $700 over the next 6 months. So that's something that the government can directly do. And it's because of the situation in Ukraine, and all the feedback that I get is people understand this is a situation that has occurred because what's occurring globally in the Ukraine. What can the Australian government do to provide that relief? We can cut the fuel excise, and we're doing that, and you'll save 22 cents a litre. And that announcement was valid as at election night.
The petrol excise, 22 cents reduction, Will there be any big stick legislation or big stick consequences from the government if the petrol savings are not passed on?
It's a really good question. So as you know, and if it's a fuel excise, it'll be cut by, it's around 22 cents a litre. This must be passed on to motorists. So Australian motorists must have this passed on at the Bowser, because this is about providing them with the cost of living relief that they need. So the cop on the beat in this case is the ACCC. The ACCC themselves have already issued a statement, and they have made it very, very clear in their statement that if retailers in the fuel space are engaging in misleading and deceptive conduct, they can actually face contraventions of up to $10 million. So the ACCC is watching very, very closely. It is the very clear expectation of the government that as at election night, this starts to be passed on. But again, I go back to it's the international factors I think that Australians know that are at play here. It's a volatile situation in the Ukraine. But what can the government do by way of cost of living relief? Cut the fuel excise and provide Australian motorists with a reduction in their petrol price at the Bowser. That is a good thing for Australians.
So on the issue of women's interest, domestic violence and youth employment, the spending are very modest, so to say the least, but are there any spending to educate to prevent domestic violence?
I'm going to have to disagree with you there, because this government, I think, has invested more than any other government, in particular in their budget for supporting women, children and vulnerable Australians. And certainly as part of our plan for a stronger Australia, as was announced on Tuesday night, we're investing, I think it's over $1.3 billion in new services to support women, children and vulnerable Australians. But at the same time, existing programs, they will be expanded. But that $1.3 billion investment, it actually almost doubles the Commonwealth's financial commitment to the implementation of many of your viewers would know, the next National Action Plan to end violence against women and children. So we've made a huge investment as a government. We've more than doubled that investment in this budget, and the investment in this budget alone is around the $1.3 billion mark.
Do you hope to reduce youth unemployment?
Oh, look, this is something that I'm incredibly passionate about. So when you look at Jim Chalmers, the Shadow Treasurer, he had said this on several occasions. The test for the Morrison government as they go towards the election is the level of unemployment in Australia. When we came into office in 2013, the Labor Party left us an unemployment rate of 5.7% and rising. We have gone through 2 years of a global pandemic, but because of the decisions that the Morrison government made, and in particular the job keeper decision, keeping employees connected to their employers, in the budget papers that came down on Tuesday, unemployment in the September quarter is set to go to 3.75%. We now have even more Australians in employment than ever before. Youth unemployment in Australia was in double digits. It now has a 9 in front of it. So on any analysis, 5.7% and rising when we came to office, 2 years after a global pandemic, the lowest employment rate in 50 years is what we're predicted to go to in September. But the other investment that we've made is, of course, in apprentices. Employers, they want work-ready employees from day one. How do you get that? You invest in your apprentices, in your tradies, in your trainees. Under this government, despite COVID-19, because of the policies we've put in place, we now have more apprentices in training than ever before, and we're able to further invest in our system on budget night. That's how you get youth into work. You offer them opportunities and you work with employers who have those jobs.
Michaelia Cash, the Attorney General. Thanks for joining us this week.
Great to be with you as always, Ivan.
And now, here's AMA WA spokesman Dr Andrew Miller with his weekly COVID-19 update and commentary.
Hi, thanks for your time. Cases unfortunately continue to rise in Australia, about close to 50,000 in the last week, which is obviously a lot higher than we want them to be. The hospitalisations across the country, about 2,500. That's a couple of very large hospitals full of people who are just in there for COVID. And unfortunately we still continue to see some deaths, about 220 hospitalisations in Western Australia, and people obviously a bit fatigued with the whole business, but now's not the time to be reducing too many of the protections that we have in the community, particularly around masks, because masks are a simple and effective way of keeping yourself and other people safe, including in schools. And I'd commend to you the Telethon Kids Institute guidance on mask wearing in schools, which goes back to the simple basic science that they are very effective at protecting students' families, and also protecting teachers as well. So we'll continue on putting in these messages out there. We understand people's frustration with it. The answer to people's lack of patronage for restaurants and bars and so on is not to have more disease around. It's to make people feel safe. And we hope that that's what the focus will be on. I would like to make mention of Aishwarya's memorial today and pay my respects to her and to her family, and thank them for their ongoing advocacy to try and improve the situation in not just the Perth Children's Hospital, but also in all of the other places where children are treated. It's very difficult period, I know, that they're going through, and very, very difficult to imagine what it would be like to be in their shoes, but commend them for continuing to try to get answers and to get things improved for the rest of the community. So thank you very much to those parents.
And that's WP for this week. We'll be back again next time, but for now, it's back to you, Ivan and Melly.
Thanks, Nelson. And here is Leo with what's coming up on 6 News tonight.
Thanks, guys. Tonight on 6 News breaking news, new details coming to light about the deadly helicopter crash in regional Victoria. Plus, fallout continues a week on from Will Smith slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars. And it's the interview everyone's talking about, and it's not even out yet. Prime Minister Scott Morrison speaking to 6 News, and he cops criticism for his comments about online news outlet Crikey. You can see full details on those stories and plenty more by heading to our YouTube channel. Just search 6 News Australia to find us, or our website, 6newsau.com. For now, though, guys, it's back to you.
Thanks, Leo. And that's our weekly news and current affairs, with the latest news on our website, wamnnews.com.au.
Don't forget to subscribe to the WAMN Extra News Club so we can continue our work in the community. Full details on wamnnews.com.au/news/extra. From Melly and myself, wish you good health, good night. See you next Sunday.
Thanks for watching.